Look at what Tesla has done. No, this is not a Tesla. But if it wasn't for Tesla, this would not exist. This is a 2022 Kia EV6 GT-Line trim. And a car like this is so powerful, so visually striking. And what Kia is doing with their electric vehicles is outstanding. And I can't believe their design and how aggressive it is and how much of a risk they're taking. It's not even just about this EV6. If you look at their Kia K5 or their Stinger or their latest models, they're all making statements out there, and this is just the beginning. A few years from now, Kia will, with their futuristic designs and the kind of risk they're taking, I think their cars are going to be some of the best cars out there, not just looks-wise, but also best performing. And they're going to be at a different level than where they operate today. And the EV6 is a clear indication of where things are headed. There's really not a bad angle on this car or any part of the car that doesn't look that good. Starting from the front with the headlights and the grille and how aggressively everything slopes down, it almost has an angry look to it, but it's also very futuristic. And Kia is basically stating that this is what the future looks like, and Kia's really leaping into it with both feet forward. I love the side profile of the car as well, where the window is a little bit bigger in the front, and then it angles and becomes smaller and narrower as you go towards the rear. And it all comes together nicely with the rear tail light that goes all the way across to the other end. And then the entire 360 view of the car comes together, and it's a really fantastic design philosophy that Kia has incorporated in this vehicle. This is a dual motor car, all-wheel drive. It's got 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque. But that means that the space under here is very limited. You open up this cover, and really there's no space other than your tire mobility kit and maybe a screwdriver or two, but that's about it. Pretty unusable for the most part. Having the flush door handles is a nice feature, and then when it pops out, you just pull on it and get into the car. And right away you see a very nice welcoming glow with the lighting, and this lighting you can change. There's a lot of different options. In the interior of the car, this dash display and screen, I like that they're both connected and it's one long display that's curved. And the resolution of the screen is great, and you can easily go through all the different menus. It's very responsive, sensitive to the touch. And it's a clean layout and design. It's intuitive, so you don't have to think much about where things are at. You can quickly find different items on here. And the visuals and the graphic are all pretty top-notch. So under the vehicle setup, there's a lot of different things you can change. For driving assistance, this car has a lot of different options. You have all of the different safety settings with blind spot, with cruise control, speed limit, things like that. Drive mode, you have your standard drive modes. The active sound design changes the different sounds you can hear in the car, which I'll demonstrate later on. There's a heads-up display, which you can modify. And all of the different options that you can change through here are pretty standard. This menu right here is probably the most controversial of what's in the car. It's the same display for both the climate control and also the map, the navigation, the radio. So going back and forth, if you're not careful, you can turn the dial, and instead of changing the volume, you change the temperature, which is a mistake that I've already made that I suspect most people make unless you get used to it. But because of the way this is designed, it's very easy to click between the both, and you can get confused, especially if you're driving, you're not super clear on what option you're selecting. But once you get used to it, it's probably not that big of a deal. But I like the way this is designed. It's simple, it's clean, it's all digital. So from this menu, you can also go into map, and you can change the map or navigation settings, go into radio, media, and go into setup. So there's various options of getting to the same menus. And so from a user experience wise, they've done a great job of designing this. These buttons are not positioned very well because it's very easy to click on these, especially as you're resting your hand to change the menu up here. While I was doing the demonstration, I actually turned on the heated seat here, which obviously I don't want that in 90-degree weather. What I want is the cool seats, but they have these different options. This comes with the heated seat, same with the passenger. But then the start-stop button is right here, which again, with its futuristic design, This has like a cockpit-like feel to it with the center console. Now this area down here is a little bit strange because to get to the USB, you have to go all the way down to plug it in. And so that design philosophy doesn't quite make sense. There's additional storage down here. So from a storage perspective, there's lots of different spots. The one thing that I don't like about the seating position is I generally sit kind of low in cars, and when I put the seat all the way down, the steering wheel doesn't come down any further, which means, as you can see from this video, that it hides the miles per hour and hides the right and the left sides of the dash. So it's hard to get a clear view of the dash when I'm just sitting like this. So I have a couple options. Either I raise the seating position and I'm up higher, which I don't really like to do. Then I have to raise the steering wheel. But when I'm seated as low as I can, then the steering wheel gets in the way. So that's just an annoying piece, just an ergonomic flaw that I've found in this car. And I have to say that Kia has done a really remarkable job with the interior. It all feels very high-end and quality. The way they have the dash layout and the stitching and the design in here, the door handles are interestingly blended in with the angular look of the door panel. And the stereo cover, the speaker cover is metallic. This car is one of the better cars for passengers, mainly because you can see so much leg room back here. There's a lot of room between the knees and the front seat. And even with the front seat pushed back, there's still a lot of space back here. And there's also these AC vents that are on the side, which is actually a really good idea as opposed to being at the bottom, which you've seen traditionally in other cars. But generally back here, it's a comfortable ride in a car for passengers and for everybody in the car. So Kia's done a great job there. But let's take it for a spin and show you what it's like. The resolution in this car is great. The way the cameras are and the crispness of the display. Right away when you start driving, you feel the 320 horsepower and especially the torque, the 446 torque. So I would suggest the all-wheel drive for this car. That's where you get adequate power and it's pretty quick. So here in active sound design, I can change from largest change, moderate, smallest. This just means that the volume of the noise that comes out of the speakers is more as you step on the accelerator. I'll go into advanced custom sound settings because this is where you can do some interesting stuff. So you have stylish, dynamic, cyber. So now I'll demonstrate what these different ones sound like. I've increased the volume all the way and made the pedal response sensitive. So I'm going to start with stylish so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, so that was stylish. Now I'm going to change it to dynamic. Last but not least, cyber. I don't know, what do you think? I kind of like the cyber. It sounds more spaceshipy. So this is now my cyberific rocket ship EV6. Okay, back to dynamic. Kind of sounds like there's a symphony going on inside the car. Anyway, these are the things that you do in electric vehicles these days. I'm pretty impressed with the Kia EV6. I think cars like this are showing Tesla what other manufacturers are capable of doing. I think the future of electric vehicles is going to be highly competitive and there's going to be a lot of different options out there. Tesla obviously will be the leader in technology, whether it's self-driving or AI, and it's going to be hard to catch up there. But when it comes to just normal human-driven EVs like this EV6 or other things that Kia comes out with or other manufacturers come out with, it's just going to be a different set of vehicles, highly technologically advanced, but also very interesting and fun, and I think a lot more features and different things that we can do as drivers in the car will come up. And it's all going to be very technology focused, there's no doubt about that. But I'm interested to see what the future holds. I think there's going to be lots of interesting things out there. And I'm especially going to keep a close eye on Kia and what they do, because the EV6 is such a fantastic start. I can only imagine what the engineers at Kia are doing right now with future generations. So I think it's going to be a very exciting 5 years ahead of us.